Hunter Biden will not go to prison for either his felony gun or tax conviction. President Biden pardoned his son after repeatedly saying that he would not. The pardon is full and unconditional and applies to all of Hunter Biden's crimes. In a statement, the president said he made the decision to pardon his son this weekend. He claimed politics tainted the process, calling it a miscarriage of justice. Joining us this morning to discuss the pardon is 9 News legal expert Whitney Traylor. Thanks for coming in.
Sure, I'm glad to be here.
So the prosecution and Biden's defense, they came up with a plea agreement at some point, but why didn't the plea go through? Right.
So David Weiss, the prosecutor at the DOJ, they had come up with an agreement to a plea agreement where he was going to not serve any time, but it was they had come up with terms and agreements. The judge didn't agree with it. And a lot of people criticized it as a sweetheart deal, saying, hey, this was unfair, this was an example of privilege, etc. And it probably was. In the sense that he wasn't going to serve any time, it was going to be a misdemeanor, all these other things. And it was based on two things: the tax charges, the tax evasion, that he didn't pay his taxes in 2018 and 2019, and these gun charges where he applied for a weapon and lied on his application. So that's really what we're talking about. So in some respects, it's not super significant, but in other respects, it is, kind of an example of privilege, if you will.
All right, so are you surprised by the pardon? It sounds like it is an example of privilege here.
I think it is, and I'm a little bit surprised. I mean, President Biden came out and said, absolutely, I won't put this pardon on, and he did. And so is this an example of privilege? Yeah, probably. And, would Jill Biden came out and said, of course, I agree with this. How many people would pardon their son knowing these situations?
Right. So does this set precedents for future presidents now?
Well, that's the concern because, I mean, if you look at President Trump's first term, he consolidated power into the executive branch. He did things very unorthodox. And so now when you have the ruling from the Supreme Court saying that you have immunity from criminal prosecution, now you also have this example where a president is pardoning his son. It seems to be privilege. It seems to be, based on familial relationships type thing. Will this set precedent? I think it will create a situation where future presidents, whatever party, will be able to do the same thing, and we can just look at this as an example. So this is a concern. I mean, this is a real. I don't agree with the pardon. I think it is an example of privilege, and I think it is setting a bad precedent.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of Colorado Democrats come out against it as well. They're not happy that he said for months and months and months, I will not pardon my son, and then he did.
Yes.
So is there anything that can be, like, once Trump takes office, can this be undone?
Oh, that's a great question. No, really it can't. I mean, once a pardon is essentially absolute. So, but one of the things about President Trump was during his presidency, everything was challenged. There were so many unorthodox type of situations. So we don't have a situation like this where a sitting president's son or child was prosecuted. So this is a first in many different respects. What will happen from here will set precedent. So, and I don't like the notion of the Supreme Court saying presidents are immune.
Right.
Now you have this pardon of a son who clearly committed these criminal acts. What does this do going forward? And we don't want a bunch of rogue presidents with freedom of, being above the law.
Right. Well, we'll see what happens with all of it. As always, Whitney, thanks so much for coming in.
Sure. Good to be
Appreciate
here.
it. Chris?